Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Crossroads, where faith meets real life. I am your host, Arama, and today I am with Bishop Teepa. Thank you for joining us. Picking up from where we left off last week, this week we're going to be talking about coaching and counselling. Now, coaching and counselling, it's easy to think that they're the same thing, but they're actually two different things. They just happen to be on the same tree, so it's easy to confuse the both. But you know, we have football coaches, and then you also have marriage counselors. Similar roles, but they have different ways of getting you to a goal, which is interesting. So me and Bishop are going to speak to you guys a bit about coaching and counselling.
Yeah. I think you have introduced it perfectly, because these are terms that we use every day, and we see them on our televisions and media channels, and social media is flooded with such things. And there are so many people who are coaches in life. They are coaches of sporting teams, and we have counselors, as you say, of various areas, specific areas like health issues, marriage. Even young people, they need counselors to help them to forge ahead in life in areas that they've not trodden in before or trodden on before. So these are things that we cannot run away from. So just to put it in a proper perspective for our discussion, because we will just speak about the two, introduce them, and then we'll be, as we go along, we'll be actually demarcating and comparing and contrasting, and also bring in questions and what have you for the sake of our viewers. So let's start with counseling. Counseling, it comes from a legal term to where legally you give advice so that somebody should not break the law. So somebody comes to you, and they come to you as somebody who is a good instructor. You are well versed with the laws of the land, or of the institution, of the setup that they are operating in. And then you give them that legal framework, or the legal clause that they have to be mindful of. So you enlighten their mind to know that in the normal setup we operate like this, but legally the law of the land says this. So that is what counseling, you are giving legal opinion to a person. When we come to the things of God, the counsel that we give has to line up with the will or the wisdom of God, because God has also God has got his own laws as well, and which we call the will of God as well. So we are helping somebody to do things in line with the will of God. So we give counsel so that a person can line up himself or herself with what God has spoken. So that's the counseling side. So we expound more on that, because a counselee cannot be always a junior or a young. A young person can counsel an elderly person, because a young person may be a professional in his area, or may be well versed in what he's doing. I can come to you and ask you to give me counsel on how I should go about the damage of an electronic
device,
gadget, which you know yourself properly. So, for this type of gadgets, so you're giving me counsel on what I should expect if I go to the service providers without knowledge and whatever. So you're counseling me. So a counselor, it does not depend on maybe age or whatever. It just depends on the knowledge they have, well-vested knowledge and experience in that area. So that's all about counseling in a way. We'll come back to that. Now, coaching, you are talking of an instructor, in this particular case, who is training somebody in a particular field, where this trainee has to understand the set structures and systems that can cause them to operate with success. So coaching is all about helping somebody understand the systematic way of doing the things in that profession, in that field, so that they can win, they can have success, they can have victory. That's why we come to coaches in the football, in the sporting world. Those coaches are well instructed. That's why they go for licenses, B license, C license. They know maybe up to this point, they know how to. So a coach has to be a person who knows the systems and the structures of what field he is in, and of the opposition, the things that can come against you. So when you are coaching, you are also coming with the proper information that will help a trainee to understand how to work, how to operate so that they can reach a place of success, a place of victory. Similarly, in the kingdom of God, there is coaching, because the kingdom of God, like every other kingdom, is structured. It's got systems, got structures. And if somebody has to operate within those structures, he needs to be someone who can confide with people who know how the structures and the systems operate. Because there's also an opposing kingdom of darkness that fights the systems and the structures of the kingdom of God. So you need a coach in a way. So that, like we're talking of mentors, but in this particular case, you find that this coaching is basically tied to systems and structures that somebody needs to understand for you to go into the field and do what you are expected to do with success. So those are the differences. But when it comes to be down to earth, you discover that coaching and counseling may be just taken as one or two things. It depends on the environment somebody is operating in, but also it will depend on what field somebody needs to go and operate in with success. It can be counseling combined with coaching in some places because of the way the way the thing or the structure is set up. Some complex structures will require you to be instructed, to be coached. Sometimes one-off, sometimes continually. Coaching can take time. Similarly, counseling depends on the way the person, the counselee, responds and also finds that normally in counseling, it is all in the hands of the counselee. If the counselee has gotten the right counsel and they go and apply it and it's working, they are fine. But sometimes you can get the right counsel and you discover that it's taking long to work. Because sometimes some counsel require you to be patient. Some counsel requires you to be just to be persistent and to keep on doing the things. It is a long-term process sometimes, but sometimes it's a wrong counsel. So in the Bible, we find that there were even people who were bad counselors. We'll give you examples of the Bible. There are types of counsel. There's the Ahithophel counsel, which is a wrong type of counsel, which Solomon, not Solomon, Absalom, the son of David, got from one counselor who was a good counselor of David. But when this young man rebelled, this
David's
person
son
also went with him. And so there are those, but it's not applied generally in the world. But in the world, we can just talk of good counsel and bad counsel. Good counsel is good and is received from people who are operating in that field with success. That's where you can get good counsel. And they've been well trained, they've been well exposed to the field. And what have you. Similarly, coaching, these people also go for training and they are mentored by other good coaches, and then they follow that my style of prayer will be like this, I will follow this system. So it's up to them, but they flow with whatever they feel this will be best for me. But also sometimes it works with the type of prayers, the team prayers you have. So this type of prayers I have, I can't pray this system or this structure and what have you. So all these come into play, but that's maybe the demarcation or the differences between counseling and coaching. So somewhere there's a thin edge that you can't differentiate much depending on who you are counseling or coaching or what field you are speaking of, and the complexity, the intricacies of a certain field somebody is operating in, because some fields are multidimensional. And you need both counseling and coaching. While some fields are specific, you know that in this particular case, we do things this way. It's structured.
This is how it is.
This is how it is said. So that opens up our discussion on counseling and coaching.
I mean, football players, I think, experience the best of both worlds now. And the fact that your coach is the one who's going to tell you how you're going to go out there and play. But now footballers have like sports psychologists, people who are there to give them counsel on a day-to-day basis to say, you're playing in a high-pressure environment here.
And that's a very complex field, because if you talk of many of the sporting fields, you discover that the way it is set up, especially in the Western world, they are like sports academies where they train you from a tender age. So there are facilities and there are things that they introduce. It's like a school where you are trained, that's book knowledge and what have you. But the practical thing on the field will also be a bit different from what you are getting, like the book knowledge. So you have to try to align what you are giving them as a head knowledge with the practical field work that they do. That's the first stage where you can maybe have a demarcation of what is being given to them are they being taught to what they are practicing on the field of practice. Number one. Number two, you can train your youngsters over the ages, as little ones maybe under 10, later on under 14. You take them through various phases of understanding the sport or the particular discipline. But when now they graduate and they are going to the main teams, main clubs, they may not play for the same institution.
Yeah.
And they go to another institution whose approach is different, whose systems and structures are different. So you discover that when they get there, though they are a professional, though they know the basics and everything in terms of general application, but there are still certain things that they have to be coached in, that will be counseled in, so that they can fit in. Secondly, it also depends on who is coaching them.
Yes,
because you can
massively.
see today, in the sporting world, especially football.
Yeah.
God help us. There's a roller coaster change of coaches.
Okay, all the time.
One team can change coaches four
times in 1 year.
And every coach comes with his own ideas, with his own structures, with his own instructions.
Yes.
And you find these players who have been used to one system for, of course, they have to adapt. But you see, there are all these conflicts. So at the end of the day, you discover that it's a complex world.
Very complex.
It's a complex world. But you need to have a sharp mind which can adapt, which can change. Similarly, a coach needs also to adapt to the players and the system that they've been used to. You can't just change it from one system to the far left side to go to the radical right side. You need to start slowly and balance it until you can get the players to play in that format. So there's always a conflict. There's always a struggle when you are talking of the structures, the systems, the personnel involved, and the background of both sides, the coach and these the players who are being trained, or the instructor, or the counselor and the counselee. All those come into play. But it's a world that you cannot do without.
You definitely not, no.
You have to have proper coaching. Because in any job, even when you finish the uni, you finish your studies at the uni, and you are an authority in this area, you are maybe a lawyer, and whatever, you need to be put under experienced ones who tell you that, yes, the law says that that's book work, that's what we've read, that's head work, head success you have had, but now though you got the distinction, but practically for you to win this case, you need this, and you need to understand the law of this territory, of this company. You need to understand what have you, and you also need to study certain cases. Somebody used the same approach as from book knowledge, but when they got there, the learned judge reviewed that there's also this side. So all that you go through those processes in life all the time, and coaching and counseling does not cease in life. As you are growing in your profession, at every stage of your promotion, you will have to go through it. Because you have mentors, you have coaches, you have instructors or counselors who come your way to welcome you into that field and to that level, and to show you how it is done, or what you should not do, what you should avoid. In order for you to register success, you definitely have to go through. You can't avoid it.
No, definitely not. Especially, I think now as young people, if you want to go into any field, fields are ever adapting now. Football's not the same now as it was 20 years ago and 40 years ago. It's an ever-changing field. Science, technology, everything is ever-changing. And now, I think more than ever, young people need that coaching. They need that counselling. So when you were young, how would you say the impacts of your coaches and counsels have shaped you to now be here?
No, I mean, you can't actually ignore it. You can't actually speak about yourself without speaking about those people who have been there in your life. As I've said from the word go, that we have had fathers, biological fathers, and we have had mentors and trainers, teachers, tutors in the institutions where we've gone to learn, to be trained. And what I've learned throughout all those experiences, that experience, whether we like it or not, is very important.
Best teacher,
Experience is very important, because the people who counseled me had an experience. Even if it was just a one-off experience of a certain nature, that when they explained to me that I experienced this, and I say, how can I avoid that? It helped me. Okay, so I can give you example after example. I gave you, I think in our first episode or two, I gave you the example that my own biological father, who had been a football player, but also a good manager in the private sector in Malawi, just gave me a few tips of how I can succeed in my
craft.
And so that when you get to that place, the institution should be looking at you as somebody they cannot do without. They should be relying on you. They should be saying, he will have an asset here. But much of it is not only the bookwork you had when you were in school or in the union, but even what you have learned with a hands-on experience on the job training and what have you. That type of counsel coaching or instruction or mentorship or coaching really helped me. Not only in one institution where I was working, but wherever I went, in church, in my leadership role, in the working field, in my family, as I was building my own family as a young husband or young father, and what all those things were coming into play. This is what the father said, and there have been so many of that nature, both from the spiritual angle, but also from the physical and also biological and what have you. So we cannot do without coaches in life. We cannot do without counselors in life at every stage, at every moment of the way. One word, sometimes you just need a sentence, or somebody just needs to say, please rise up and be mature. That's maybe a word to the wise. They may not say a lot, or just pull up your socks, or you cannot continue mourning like a baby. You are now grown up. The father is saying to you like that. You go and think about that. You say, I've mourned a lot on this particular subject. Or I'm like a crybaby. Every time I meet dad, I'm crying about this. So I think next time I meet him, I'm not going to cry anymore. 2-3 months down you discover that you are doing things on your own. 3 years later, say, Dad, I'm shaking your hand. You really gave me just maybe in a ranting manner. But what you said that day has reshaped my destiny, my life, and what have you. So to me, these are very important tools of success in life. These two, counseling and coaching. When you take them seriously and use the expertise, the experience of those who are counseling you to become your own experience one day, you will be bulletproof.
Of course.
That's what I've seen. So in a nutshell, maybe that's how I can elaborate.
I mean, then the responsibility then shifts, because as you've said, you've gone from that position of being counseled and coached to now where you're the counselor and the coach. How do you adjust to that shift now to counsel and coach?
It comes over time. That's why I say that these two, when you are talking about coaching and counseling, it's a long-term thing sometimes, and if God is really developing you to become a leader, to become a ruler, to become a manager, to become a perfect father, whatever you become, you cannot avoid the long-term process of going through these areas of counseling and being coached. It is not a one-off thing. One-off is for people who are just taking a walk in the park. But for people who have a divine destiny, for people who are headed to the top, is something that you have to undergo, you have to go through. And it's a process, it's a long-term thing. And as you grow, the experience starts coming, the expertise starts settling, patience comes. what I was 10 years ago, where I was 20 years ago, in terms of being patient with young people, being patient with my family members, being patient with even people who may have a different opinion to me, even those who may hate me, is very different. I believe I'm more mature. I believe I've experienced certain things that have helped me to know how to do everything I'm doing with success, or with a perfect ending, where you want an end of rest or peace. So the adaptation goes hand in hand with the time you take to take in the knowledge, the instruction, the counsel, the coaching, as you keep on going and receiving and adjusting and applying, and also allowing your life to say, no, here I've not done better in the past, or here I'm not. It's not that you know yourself when you're applying the knowledge, the information you've gotten, whether you are succeeding. Your counselor and your coach is also a good assessor of whatever you are doing. They should come to review, to tell you to review moments are very important, because they show you that you were there, you were managing to do 30%, now you are managing to do 60%. And that should give you encouragement to say, I think I'm gaining more ground, more mature and more experience and more expertise in this field. And then the adjustment just comes with the process of growing in it, going with it, getting more, receiving more, and sometimes now applying. Like I know there's a verse in the Bible, I think in John 8:32, it says, freely you have received, freely give. Where it means that you also come to a place that nobody needs to tell you, now you can become a counselor, now you can be, or now you've become, no. But information is knowledge, information, and the instructions you get, they are valuable tools that at one point or the other you just discover that you are able to speak to somebody about the same problem or issue that you were struggling with, because it has worked in you, it's working in you. So you can, my friend, you are struggling with this. Sit down here, let me explain to you. We do it this way, this way. Okay, you can say, I was also like you. This is what happened to me. That's what we do even when we are testifying about the Lord. You can tell somebody, I also used to do what you are doing. But when I met the Lord, that's our chief instructor, counselor, chief counselor, our chief coach. But in real life situations, you can just tell somebody, no. It works when you do A, B, C, or you apply this knowledge or this particular tool, work with it in this way. And so you discover, then it comes to a place where you are doing more of instructing others. You are doing more of coaching others, and the sky is not even the limit. You discover people can sense that here is somebody who is good in the area of bringing others up, developing others, boosting the morale of those who are more or less like demoralized and what have you. So people start spotting you and lifting you, or placing you in positions of responsibility. What I believe is that God himself is the best human resource manager in the world.
Yes.
And God himself will allocate you somebody, who bring somebody to you, and you see, it has succeeded. Oh, this person, no, this is like, and you find another person who you have helped calling you like, this one is my father, this one is my mentor. And you are even feeling timid. And then you discover, God has placed me in this scenario where I'm mentoring others, I'm helping others, I'm counseling others. So it comes, it's a process, it's a natural process that comes in time. Responsibility will come flowing your way. You yourself should also take responsibility by spreading your nets and casting the net wider to help others, to let others not go through what you went, or through what mistakes others made, which you know of. So those areas of knowledge helps you to explore your expertise and experience you are gaining. And over time you discover that the heavens open and responsibilities open up and whatever. So it just goes with time, but you keep on going and you keep on growing. Coach is just brilliant. The team, the players, who can compete with this? Unless you try to match up next season or the other, or it will take you 3-4 seasons. So let's accept it. Coaching is real, and you can see the results of good coaching or good coaches.